When we begin training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we're not really given any type of manual or guide for how to do it optimally. There's no set in stone way for how to get the most out of your Jiu-Jitsu training and to improve over the long run. You're simply told to train more, work harder than the other guy, no days off. With this information, we push ourselves to the absolute limit. We're gonna show up to every jiu-jitsu class. We're gonna smash every round as hard as we can. We don't need no water break. We're not taking any days off. But what happens when you redline your engine for too long like this is that things begin to break down. This is when people will tear their ACL, they'll tear a rotator cuff in their shoulder. Maybe you'll get your arm broken because your joints are weak. All of this can happen by going too hard for too long in your training and not resting the appropriate amount. But there's an alternative. The alternative I learned from the Joe Rogan podcast from MMA trainer Firas Zahabi. He trained George St. Pierre, Rory McDonald, many other champions. This concept is consistency over intensity with your training. The basics are you want to do enough every day to elicit a response from your body, enough to make a small improvement, but not so much that it's not sustainable for the long term. Taking your training with this type of approach can have many benefits. Maybe you're not overly sore for your workouts that are going to happen the next day. More energy for the rest of your training sessions if you are scheduling multiple sessions throughout the day. You're not going to require as much recovery because you're not as exerted from your sessions. Maybe you'll get more out of your sessions because you have more mental energy for the session instead of being burnt out by the end of it. Say you want to improve in your jiu-jitsu. In your opinion, do you think you're going to improve more by training five hard rounds 3 times a week over the course of a year? Or would you maybe improve more by training 3 5-minute mellow moderate rounds every single day for a year? Mathematically, if you train the 3 rounds every single day, at the end of the year, that's 1,095 total rounds and 5,475 minutes, equating to 91.25 hours of straight rolling. Compared to if you do the 5 hard 5-minute rounds 3 times a week, it's only 780 rounds, 3,900 minutes, and 65 hours of rolling. At the end of the year, the difference is 315 rounds, 1,575 minutes, and 26.25 total hours. At the end of a year, the person that trained less trained significantly more than the person that trained as hard as they could, but only a couple times a week. Don't think about how much work can you fit into a single session. How much can you fit into an entire week or a month? How much training can you fit into a year? You got to think bigger about these things. The goal shouldn't be to be the hardest worker in the room necessarily. That gives a false idea of what we really need to be doing to improve. The people that can't take a rest are the ones that get hurt. With a consistency over intensity approach, you can truly be the one who is really working the most and getting the most amount of training. And with all that extra mat time, who knows how much better will you be at the end of the year with an extra 26 hours of training. It's not about how much you can fit into one session, but how much can you fit into an entire lifetime of training. Train a little bit less every single day, sustain it for a long period of time, and you'll have countless more hours on the mat.